Day 61, and I'm trying to figure out what my short is actually about. I'm currently wrapping up the second month, and in this month I'm trying to figure out what the style of my short is going to be, and actually more importantly I'm also trying to figure out what the short is going to be about. And let's just have a look at what I've been doing. I started off these 2 weeks with doing some extra sketching, doing some extra drawing. I picked one frame out of the storyboard and I tried to develop that as close as possible towards the idea that I have for the style in my head. I really currently like how the colors look, like the feel of it, the mood, but the line work I think can be a lot cleaner. It looks a bit sketchy still to me, and the character design can be a lot more distinct. But I think in general it's crawling towards something that I find acceptable. After I made that style sketch, I had a critical look at my storyboard, and I quickly figured out that currently I think half of the frames are roughly used to do the introduction. So I thought it might be a good idea to abstract my story a little bit and figure out what sort of the elements, the story beats that I want to have in my story. And I've identified 5 just to give it a bit more structure and know where I want to go, like moving from one scene into the next, or actually from one story element into the next. The first one is the opening, where I just established the contrast between the city, light, busy, noisy, bright, and the woods, which is calm and serene and peaceful, and it's dark. Then the second beat is the character introduction, where I just slowly reveal the main character. The third story element is where the character enters the city and he slowly starts to take it in. The fourth element is where the main character starts making changes. He starts to turn down the lights and the people who live in the city start to notice. And then the fifth element is where I want to have an interaction between the main character and the people who live there. Maybe it's one person who lives there, maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3, maybe it's all of them. But I want to have an interaction there and that he creates a change basically. So those are the 5 elements that I've identified. And after I did that, I sort of had a look at, okay, what does it mean if it is one person, or if it's 2, or if it's the entire city? What does that mean for the story? So let's have a quick look at that and then wrap up. So I have a rough idea of the story elements, and I have an idea of how I want to end up, or where I want to end up, but not really who was involved yet. Because in the current storyboard I had 2 people who were in the coffee place, and then the main character came in, started messing with the lights and actually messing with them a little bit. So they ended up following him, but then they lose him, and that's when they realized they were in the park, and then that's where they saw the stars at the end. But I thought that felt too much like a gift almost, like they didn't really work for it. So I wanted a second character that is a bit more active. So what I've come up with now is that he moves into the city, starts messing with the lights, and everybody is noticing, but there's only one person who sort of takes action, maybe follows him or works against him a little bit, and then in the end he or she gets that reveal, gets that little special moment within the city, and that's where I want to end up. So what I'm working towards now is have a main character and sort of his, maybe not counterpart, but the person he plays off of almost, and because that second character takes action, they get to see this beautiful display of natural light. So that's what I'm envisioning now for the story, and that's actually where I'm currently at. So let's have a look at what I'm going to do in the next 2 to 4 weeks in month 3. Now that I have that new story setup with the 2 characters, with the main character who turns down the lights, shuts down the lights, and that character who is affected by it basically, and who takes action in the end, and who gets that big reveal, it's time to start working on the character design. And what I'm going to focus on in the next month, it's just the character design of the main character, because I really want to build the story around him. So I'm going to figure out what he looks like, obviously, but also like who is he, what are his motivations, stuff like that. So for the next 2 weeks, that actually means that I'll just be doing a lot of sketches. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. with hopefully just a bunch of character sketches. Status. I'm currently wrapping up the 5th month. Wauw, ik heb net 5 gedaan. En ga je nou 5 zeggen? 5. Klopt niks van.